Okay, water part two. Um, I got to looking through the products because I'm thinking about adding something to my own supply, and there's some newer stuff out there that I hadn't known about. So I'm going to put, I'm gonna, use the laptop and let you guys see what's available. Now, that's annoying. Okay, we'll just dive right in. This is a 65-gallon water bladder available from a company called uh, Found Go. 42.75. That is not bad, and it has a spigot, and you can also put a hand pump in the top. Um, 65 gallons. They have other sizes for different amounts of money. I think 65 gallons is probably best for most people. Uh, that's a real win, especially if you don't have a bathtub. Um, Something similar, 87 gallons, a water bladder, $39.98. This goes on the floor in your bathroom, on the floor in your kitchen. You, you know, you leave it there and you use it at need. Preferably somewhere somewhat out of the way. But do keep in mind the weight. Um, you want to put it in somewhere reinforced, like a kitchen or a bathroom. Okay, moving along. This is more or less your standard stuff right here. Um, Long-term 5-gallon tanks, stackable food grade tanks included. Camping, prepping, survival, 20-gallon total capacity, $124.99. Uh, I'm not likely to buy them. That's a lot of money for a little water. But you may prefer something like this. Long-term water storage, you need to add bleach from time to time. You'll want to look up exactly how much per gallon. I think it's 3 to 5 drops. Off the top of my head, 3 to 5 drops per gallon. But I could be wrong, so I'll ask you to look that up for yourself. Uh, if you're on the poor side, something like this can come in damn handy. Um, because you can buy them on, whenever you have a little extra money. 1988, I want to add the words 14 after that. 7-gallon. If you have a 3-person family, 3 of these will get you through. That's 1 gallon per day per person for 7 days. If you buy 3 of them. I gotta say, I think the water bladders are a better deal. Uh, but again, if you're on the poor side, if $20 every couple of months, you can adds up pretty quickly. Okay, these are a tricky thing. I didn't mention them because they are a tricky thing. But rainwater barrels. Now they're handy depending on where you live. A lot of places these are illegal. You can't collect rainwater in a lot of places in America. I can't speak for Europe. Um, However, if you live in a place where you can collect rainwater, this is a very handy idea. Comes with a spigot. You just stick your hose on that and you're ready to go. Big downside is that this is going to be outside during a storm, during a blizzard, during whatever. A blizzard, it can freeze. We lost our power once here because it got too low outside. I think it got down to like 0. And they just said that, come on, I know this word, that the generators weren't made for that kind of weather. Go figure. But we lost power for several hours because of that. So if you got something outside in 0-degree weather, that water's probably going to freeze. One big ice cube. Um, so as I said, big downside. Um, if you live in a better area, if you live down south or real down south, southwest, um, Florida, etc., these are not a bad idea depending on whether or not it's legal where you live. They also have the collapsible version, 53 gallons, $47.99. Again, it also has a spigot, so you can just turn it on and the water will come out in your hose. Damn handy. Now, for those who, this is something I'm considering myself right here. I've thought about it several times, which is a good indicator that maybe I should do it. This is a water bob. This is a nifty way to, use your bathtub as a water storage device. Water bob bathtub emergency drinking water container. It comes with hand pump, which is important. Disaster and hurricane survival, BPA for a 100 gallon. Now, you may not get 100 gallons out of it. It depends on the size of your bathtub. This basically goes right in the bathtub. You fill it from the tap, and you're ready to rock and roll. Those are the major devices on hand for water storage. And I mentioned water filtration. Something as around the house as a Brita water filter can be very handy in an emergency situation. You just filter your water through that. I mentioned water purification tablets, also a good idea. I mentioned filters and life straws, never hurts. But if you have water storage available, emergency water storage available, like the water bladder, 87 gallon. You fill this bad boy up a day or two before bad weather hits, and you stick it somewhere out of the way, especially out of the way of kids, because one of them might just stab the damn thing for all you know. Children can be tricky to deal with in an emergency, but 87 gallons will get you through. Let's see, 3-person family, 21, 42, 63, 84. 4 weeks. 87 gallon water bladder tank will get you through 3 to 4 weeks, depending on how much water you use. And that's a lifesaver. And it's $40, $39.99. Now, those are the water storage, your major water storage products, and I think I'm just going to end on that. I am going to show this again, because as I said, I'm seriously considering getting one. That's the water bob. I don't know if you can see it there. Shows it in the bathtub, full in the bathtub. This is a great idea. I have thought about it before from time to time. It's $35, and word to the wise here, you can use this outside of a bathtub. You got to be very careful. It's not as thick as a real water bladder. It's far more likely to puncture than a water bladder. I don't think it's really made to be a standalone product. I think that the bathtub is meant to give it its structural support. Okay, that all said and done, we are all said and done. Um, I thank you for your time. Okay, be prepared, stay smart, stay safe. Thank you, David Keynes.